All right, here it is. Welcome to Jeff Carroll Sci-fi Express Lane. I'm kind of doing like a new format because I've been doing 15 minutes and I think that's a little long. I've been watching videos and dudes just don't carry 15 minutes. So somewhere between 7 and 10, maybe 7 is the sweet spot. But it all depends on the topic with me. So I want to talk about this. It's not even an elephant in the room. It's the subject that's in the room of Marvel dropping Wonder Man, Blade, whatever it was going to do with Miss Marvel, or whatever they were going to do with War Machine and those stories, and the frustration, and the backlash, people are mad at Marvel, and then people get mad at the people who are complaining at Marvel and say you shouldn't be asking or expecting Marvel to supply your black superhero needs. You know what I'm saying? And then they get mad at them. And so for me, I'm a Gemini, yo. I'm straight down the middle. I actually feel there's nothing wrong with putting pressure on them as Marvel to have these movies like Wonder Man. It wasn't my favorite, but shit, it was nominated for awards. It did a damn thing. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? I think I would have liked the second season better than the first because I felt like the first season was a big setup, and I really don't like superhero stories where they don't go up against superheroes. So I like the superhero going against superhero, or a supervillain. You know what I'm saying? Not superhero versus supervillain. And I felt he would have done that in the second season. Of course, we all wanted to see Blade because when Wesley Snipes did Blade, it was not as bad as Demolition Man and not as bad as the first Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone, but it wasn't with the special effects that they have now. I mean, they gave us a little Blade in Deadpool 3. That was okay. I ain't gonna hate on it, but it was enough to show us what could have come. You know what I'm saying? And if Underworld is an example of what you can do with vampires and stuff, man, Blade movie would be really, really good. Now, let's just pump the brakes for a minute. As a Gemini, I also understand, and I'm running a campaign for support the black independent creators. You understand what I'm saying? We jumped right off from Blade. That inspired my story, Thug Angel, Rebirth of a Gargoyle. I have yet to do it in movies. I had a couple of offers. There was all independent filmmakers, so they wasn't giving me money to hold the idea. But we did, I do have a script. It's really good. I'm actually tired of waiting on my scripts to turn into movies, and I've been turning my scripts into comic books, and that's my next phase. I'll get into that later. But in terms of black superheroes, I am actually even biased. I believe the best black superheroes can be created and are created by black creators. So even with the white created black superheroes like Black Panther and my favorite Luke Cage, the tweaks that black creators put on those characters made the characters what I love. I wasn't into jungle action. I probably would have passed over it. And I started reading comics in the 70s. So it was still around, but I wasn't there. I'm not a fan of Luke Cage and no tiara. Bulletproof Man doesn't need a headband, a metal headband, and he certainly don't need metal bracelets. We don't know where the chain belt came from, but that felt a little bit okay. It was really the bracelets and the tiara mostly that triggered me. So when they took it off in the Netflix show, that's when he became my #1 superhero. And then, of course, he had the hookup with Misty Knight, and I think she's probably the hottest actress or character in the Marvel universe, female-wise. So that's how I feel. I don't even feel like white created black characters are all of that. I'm not Black Lightning. I'm not, those are not my characters. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even a superhero guy like that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I probably like Incredible Hulk, but I'm going off the TV show Incredible Hulk. That's what I enjoy. But again, when you start talking TV and film, you're talking stories that's written for the mainstream. Comic books aren't always written for the mainstream, so they can have a lot of stereotypic bias, or they can be headed towards one group, one demographic. But when you making $100 million movie, or big series, you kind of got $1 million an episode series. You got to pull in every small little group you can get. So I totally understand that. But yeah, look, we got to put pressure on these companies to do diverse stories. There's actors, there's writers, there's crew people that depend on all of that. So I'm not going to say don't put no pressure on them. Of course, put the pressure. Same thing we do with non-superhero companies. Whether you are Blade or not, black stories and black characters are really the future. When the industry is fading, we built it up in the blaxploitation era. Look what we did when the quarantine hit. We made Tubi what Tubi was, and I pat myself on the back because my movie Gold Digger Killer was part of that building of Tubi. So I'm with all of that, but at the same time, if we ever want to see black characters rise, we have to support black creators. Even if the characters that DC and Marvel use probably use black written characters as non-canon inspiration, it is what it is. They stole from each other, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're gonna say, oh, it's a black or it's a Latino created independent character, I'm not gonna take from him. If I think of something good, I'm pretty sure they'll steal it. I just gotta do it so good that they can't erase my version of the character. And then that brings me to the other thing. I was watching, this is my last point. I was watching a video where the guy was going after another dude for saying black characters or support independent comic books, right? In the heat of this conversation of Marvel pressure to do Wonder Man and Blade and all the ones that we want to see, right? But they got mad at the black creator for saying that we shouldn't even pressure them. We should just use this strength and energy and our economic dollars to support black characters. My feeling with that is I rarely tell people the black angle to buy my comics. If you want to buy black comics and support black comics, I'll do it, and my comics are definitely there. But I'm not telling you that's the reason why. I want you to support my comic from the strength of the story and the character. Same way I pitch it to black people, I pitch it to everybody. This is a story, about futuristic tech and human interaction with technology. It's called Cyberpunk Streets. It deals with body augmentation, virtual reality, and robotics. Ain't none of that in there saying support it because it's black. So I don't go that route. However, all the stories is black people. The writer is a black person. Shoot, the robot on the cover was inspired by Pam Grier. Even though it's a robot, it looks like an African-American robot. So, of course. But I'm not using that. And the same way that I don't use that as my selling pitch, which I know a lot of black writers and creators and independent dudes do. I ain't hating on them, I just don't do it. Is the same way I'm not saying we need to pool our dollars together and support a black comic book. I think if we're going to support a black comic book, that comic book is going to let us know it's ready for us to support it by being something that picks up momentum and pulls our support. Because a lot of these guys are writing characters and producing characters that answer a call, but that's all they do. They're not really that good. They're not really that well written, and they don't really connect. And so to me, if we just put our money behind somebody because they're trying, we might waste our money. Now, some of these guys don't even use editors. I used to complain about that all the time because as a writer, when I write novels, you gotta use an editor. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you don't have an illustrator, you don't have a director, so you really have to use your editor. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that wasn't a big thing. I don't really use too many editors when it comes to film, but I do when I'm submitting my film. When I'm doing it myself, we're going to get over any typos and problems with continuity in the script read-throughs and the rehearsals. So even though I am not hiring an editor, the director, the producers, and the actors are other eyes that's looking on my story. Some of these guys don't even take the direction from the illustrator. Many of them are the illustrator, so their stories don't have no other eyes looking on their script or their story until they put it out, and their stories look just like that. So for me, I think if we're going to support a black comic book, my comic books included, I'm going to tell you to go out and buy it, but I'm going to say, yo, give me your money and I'm going to make an answer to Blade. Or I'm going to make the answer to Wonder Man, or I'm going to give me your money, I'm making a Black Panther. To me, that's like almost investing in, what people think of Dr. Umar's school. And I don't want to hate on Dr. Umar, but, if you're going to do something like that, then I feel as a comic book creator, it should happen organically. If we all like whatever the story is, then let's support it and it'll come, but to give, just support somebody that's, well-intentioned, they may be very organized, but their story may be medium. And that's the problem that we have in the black community, comic book community. We don't really get a Rotten Tomatoes, because I'm not going to say critique, because we got critics, and many times they're overly critical and they don't even know what the heck good is. So I'll say we don't even have a Rotten Tomatoes, which is just a reader's fan poll of certain things that's good. So a lot of these black comics that we have are medium. They're not hits. That's why last year we all flipped up over Roots of Madness, because we had black comic book series last few years, but none of them was good like that. Even the other ones, my other writers weren't that good. She got another one, Temporal. That was okay, but it wasn't Roots of Madness. So yeah, that's why we know Rodney Barnes' name, because Rodney Barnes did something that we liked. He didn't get up there and say, yo, support it every week. We realized it was good and we got behind it. So that's how I feel we should do it with the answer to this Marvel cancellations. Yeah, support black creators, let's do that. But if we're going to get an answer to Black Panther, Luke Cage, Storm, and all these white created black characters, it's going to happen organically. Let it happen. And when it happens, we'll know. All of us writers are competing for that to happen. You understand? So we will be happy when it does happen, but let it happen. Anyway, that's Jeff Carroll, Sci-Fi Express Lane. Check me out, shout me out, like, subscribe, share, comment, I'm coming with another Kickstarter. If I can do 2 Kickstarters before the end of the year, I'm really good. My next one, I think I'm only going to do it for 20 days. Because if you get down, you get down. If not, then you're not.